This is the Norcast Weather Channel.
Brought to you by Wysocki Electric. As the weather turns nasty, make sure your home stays nice with a standby generator from Wysocki Electric, your South Jersey generic generator installation expert.
No big issues out there on your Thursday afternoon, but we are starting to see the winds pick up a little bit and some high clouds coming in from the south. Believe it or not, these clouds are funneling up from Hurricane Ian, well, Tropical Storm Ian, that will become Hurricane Ian again at some point later today. You see the windmills are moving at a good pace and the flags are flying in Atlantic City. We got those gusts to over 20 miles an hour up and down the coastline at this moment. So the clouds are going to be rolling in and thickening up through the day on your Friday, and then the rain gets here late afternoon into the evening. So that's a change in the forecast. It is definitely going to get here a little bit sooner. So the worst of the weather could actually come overnight and then on and off through the first part of your Saturday. So some downpours are possible. Still keying in on this idea of 1 to 4 inches. I think that's a conservative estimate. Most of this rain is going to be to the south and east of Philadelphia, and the coast is going to get the most, as is usually the case in these types of scenarios where winds could gust 30, 40, 45 miles an hour, and we are looking at some minor tidal flooding. I'll show you that in just a second. First, we have Ian as a tropical storm, a strong tropical storm. As of the 11 o'clock update, pressure's up to 987, but we are anticipating it to become a Category 1 hurricane before it slams into the Charleston area just to the south of Myrtle Beach. We have hurricane warnings in effect for South Carolina. Pretty much the entire coastline is covered by that. So if you have friends and family in that area, urge them to leave their house and get onto the mainland. Winds will be gusting 75, 80 miles an hour as it makes landfall and then weaken a bit. We start shifting our focus to the winds that'll be seen in our neck of the woods by Saturday. Already they'll be picking up 20, 30 miles an hour tomorrow, but by Saturday, Sunday, you're really going to start cranking 35, 40. Some of our guidance is even suggesting mid and upper 40 mile an hour gusts. So we'll see how this actually plays out, but it's a northeast wind that's going to help stack the back bays for several tide cycles, and that is why I think our chance of tidal flooding is going to be coming up a bit. So in the rainfall department, I like the idea that Philly metro area gets about 1 to 2 inches, with less to the north and west of the city. Pottsville, Scranton, probably 1/4 to 1/2 of an inch. This is really a southeast of Philadelphia event. Atlantic City, Cape May. If there are going to be areas that end up with 2, 3, 4 inches, it's going to be there. And if this wobbles a little farther north than what's modeled, then we could end up with, 4, 5, 6 inches of rain in those spots. So like I said, we have a hurricane warning in effect for the entire coastline of South Carolina, entire coast of Georgia, and then portions of the northeast off the waters of Florida. High pressures to the north, low pressure advances from the south, and we end up in a pressure gradient. That's where the winds are really coming from. Out of the east and the northeast, the flooding potential is going to be with us, but there's also going to be a sharp cutoff line. So the farther north you go into central Jersey, the Pocono Mountains, yeah, some rain is possible, but I don't think you're going to get in on the full-fledged intensity that everybody else is going to get. Now, let me be as perfectly clear as possible here. This is not a major storm. This is going to be like a mid-grade nor'easter. Typical for October. We see them a lot. It's rain, it's wind, it's some tidal flooding, but nothing that we need to get overly concerned about. Gusts 40 to 45 at the immediate coast, from Harvey Cedars down into Atlantic City, Cape May, and the Wildwoods. 30 to 40 even out into Washington Township, portions of eastern Salem County. Philadelphia, Reading, Allentown, Newark, Delaware, 25 to 30. And you could get in on the 20 to 30 mile an hour gusts even in the Allentown, Poconos area. So flooding expected in Cape May. I think the first tide that we really need to watch, sure, tomorrow afternoon there could be a few areas, but more widespread on Saturday around 1 o'clock when the tides are starting to come up, maybe 2, 3 o'clock on the back bays, and then going beyond that, I think there's going to be several more tide cycles that we need to watch. So that would be Saturday night, Sunday morning, so on and so forth. This is the reporting site in Ocean City predicting solid minor. So there will be several inches of water in the streets, and we'll see if there's any changes to this forecast going forward. So if you're in Ocean City, if you're in Sea Isle, if you're in Avalon, and you live in areas that typically flood, you're probably going to flood with this system. We got to figure out what that looks like, how much flooding we can ultimately expect. So scattered showers and thunderstorms come in on Saturday, actually late Friday, lingering in some fashion into Tuesday. Now, like I said before, this is not going to be one of those situations where it's just relentless rain from Saturday morning all the way to Tuesday night. That's not going to happen. There will be breaks, but there will be areas of wet weather on radar on and off, so make sure you have your wet weather gear.